Well, good morning and welcome to this Wednesday, February 8th edition of Keystroke Live. My name is David Hunsinger, and today I will be talking to you about purchase transactions. It's very similar to a talk I gave in January about transaction types in the Sales Manager, and so there's some real similar functions in the Purchase Manager on how you do it too. We kind of did that on purpose so that when you know how to do it in the Sales Manager, you know how to do it in the Purchase Manager. And just a reminder, Keystroke Live is every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Last week you got to hear from Michael Gebb, our company president. Next week we're kind of doing purchase ideas for the month of February. So Lynn is going to follow up with all the ins and outs of the update parameters, landed costs, reset average cost, and then the last Wednesday of February, Mike Tabor will talk about multi-store purchase orders. So what do you do with purchase transactions? It's used to add inventory. Remember, Keystroke is all about inventory control, keeping track of what goes in as well as what comes out. So really, what are the ways to add inventory? Either purchase transactions or variance. You don't want to necessarily go in and edit quantity on hand on inventory items to add inventory. I always like saying correct information is always better than wrong information. But if you can get your quantity on hand correct using purchase and variance, that's half the battle. And if you make a manual change, you never have any tracking. If you use variance and the purchase transactions, you always do. Just like in the Sales Manager, there are purchase orders and purchase invoice. Orders is your record of goods requested. Invoice is your record of goods received. Remember, you don't have to use purchase orders at all. You could just use purchase inventories if, a lot of stores, typically liquor stores, they don't necessarily place orders. They have a vendor show up and stock their shelves for them and then give them a manifest of what inventory they've added to that store. So you can just put that right in on a purchase order and receive it. Or say you go to Office Max and buy paper and supplies and all of that, you can bring it back and just do a purchase invoice to input it. So again, but what you want to be sure to do is get the inventory added to your quantities on hand, whether that's through a purchase order, a purchase invoice. There's also a reserved order that's just kind of like a quote. It's kind of a work in progress. It doesn't really count for anything. I'm also going to show you payments don't really mean anything in the Purchase Manager. They're notes to yourself. So I recommend either not using them because you don't have to put them on there to create a purchase invoice, or you have to use them you can say, hey, this went on account, but if you do that, your amount due to your vendor will just get bigger and bigger and bigger, and it'll never come off account. So you just need to be careful how you use payments on purchase orders. The other big thing I like talking about in Keystroke is that we use the average cost inventory value. So in other words, if you buy 10 of an item and you pay $5 for each of that, that's $50 for those 10 items, or $5 an item is your average cost. If you buy 10 more and pay $10 an item, now you have $150 over 20 items, so your average cost is $7.50. Keystroke doesn't know which 10 you paid $5 for and which 10 you paid $10 for. It knows you have 20 and the average cost is $7.50. So that's the average cost methodology. What makes it simpler is if you've got 1,000 of an inventory item, you don't have an individual cost for each 1,000 of those items. You just have one average cost across all 1,000 of those. So makes the math simpler, makes the storage simpler, and it is what the standard accounting practices and the IRS likes you to do. And we'll also take a look at auto order. So with that, I'm going to switch over to Keystroke, and I am in the Purchase Manager here. This is our Martha Stewart color theme we've got going on. So I'm just going to put in a vendor, say vendor number 4. Now, when I put in that vendor, I can add items, and if I can find, here's a chocolate bar with almonds, and I'm going to order chocolate coins. I don't have any of those in stock. Now, if you see up here in the upper left, this is a purchase order. I've got it set up to create the purchase order first. I'm going to go ahead and save this. Remember, down here in the detail box, you can click in there and it shows you different information. So line number 1, I get my last cost, average cost. I can see what my allocated and layaway are. I can see what vendors I've purchased it from on what dates. So I'm going to go ahead and just save this purchase order. So I've got that saved. I'm just going to hit Control Page Up to pull it up. And now say it's a week later and my chocolate bars arrived, but not my coins. So I'm going to say the 100 chocolate bars arrived. It's asking me if I want to do a payment. I'm just going to not do a payment. Remember, if you do on account, it's going to add that amount to the vendor's amount due, and that just gets bigger and bigger. So I'm just not even going to worry about the payments. Going to hit F10 and save it. So this is something I've got the vendor marked to not have any open orders. And what that is talking about is, if I hit Control Page Up and F8 to pull up the vendor, F3 to edit, no open orders. I've got that marked, meaning that if I don't get everything from this vendor, they're never going to ship it to me. I can turn it off right there too. So now you see my chocolate bar with almonds I've already received. My number is 26A. What that A means is I've created one purchase invoice off of purchase order 26. There's only ever one purchase order 26, but you could have multiple purchase invoices. So if I do transaction, edit, invoice by number, you see I've got 26A for $22. That's my 100 chocolate bars. Purchase invoice 26A. I'm just going to hit Alt Transaction Clear to clear that. Remember, I'm back on purchase order here in the upper left. So if I can hit Control Page Up, it brings up my last order. Now, let's say we get 5 of the chocolate coin packs this week, and they said, oh yeah, we're going to send you the other 20 next week. I'm not going to worry about the payment. I'm just going to save it. Goes ahead and saves that. Now if I do transaction, edit, invoice by number, I have 26A and 26B. So I have 2 invoices. That's for the 100 candy bars, and that's for the 10 packs of chocolate coins. Again, I'm on purchase order here, so if I hit Control Page Up, it brings up my order that's now 26B. I only have one purchase order. If I do transaction, edit, print, order by number, there's only one 26. The B tells me I've created 2 invoices from it. So if I now receive the rest of my coins, and I'm going to go ahead and save that. Now when I hit Control Page Up, I have purchase order 26C, meaning I've created 3 invoices from it, A, B, and C. And total ordered, total received, I've received everything. If I look at my transaction, edit, print, invoice by number, I have 26A, 26B, and 26C. So I've got my 3 invoices over time when I've received it. What we're trying to do is represent reality as much as possible, that if I placed an order on January 25th and then I received some on February 1st, some on February 5th, some on February 8th, I've got that order when I originally placed it. I've got the invoice marking the dates and quantities of when I received it. Now I'm just going to clear this one, and I'm going to create a new purchase order for vendor number 1, Acme Computer Technology. And here I'm just going to hit Shift F8. I could also do special and auto order. Shift F8 is the key combination. We also have a toolbar button here that I can just click. Brings up my auto order function. You can filter and do different. It used to be real simple. We've added some functionality to it, how you want it sorted on the screen. You know, hey, I like it by product code. Do I want to filter out certain items? Do I care where the vendor is? I can say okay, and boy, I've got these 5 items to order from the vendor. Now, it's come up with some different quantities for each item. What's the deal there? Well, if I look at my staples standard box, my top line item there, I'm just going to hit F3, and then I'm going to look at the order data. So I have 12 on hand. My minimum quantity is 20. So that means, okay, I need to order this item. My order quantity is -20, meaning I want to order enough to get me to 20. And so it ordered 8. I have 12 on hand. It ordered 8. If we look at the jumbo staples here, just going to hit F3, look at my order data. I have 12, and it wants me to order enough to get to 20, but I order it in packs of 4. Should have come up with 2. Came up with 17 there. Now if I look at my Kingston jump drive order data, I have 5. I need to order enough to get me to 15. Should order 10. It ordered 10. So you see how these work. Now, if I change this order quantity to 20, not -20, that's just saying always order 20. So if I reload it, and if I do my auto order again, now I gotta reset let's just clear the transaction here. Vendor 1, auto order, okay. So now, if I look at this, I just said order 20, so it just ordered 20. So again, it looks quantity on hand plus quantity on order. So that's 11. Is that less than the minimum quantity? Yes. Go to the order quantity. If it's positive, say if it's 20, I will order 20. If it's -20, that's saying order enough to get me to 20, and it would order 9. And I can go ahead and save this. Again, I can just hit Control Page Up. I can hit Shift F8 here, and it automatically receives things. The Kingston jump drives are serialized, so it's going to ask me for serial numbers. So it wants me to put in the serial numbers. When I get my 10 serial numbers in there, it's happy. And I can go ahead and save that. So that's purchase orders and purchase invoice. I can come here to transaction type and say reserved, and then you see up here in the upper left, I get reserved order. And here, if I do a reserved order, I can do Shift F8 to auto order. I've got those. If I look at this item and the order data, I've got 9 on hand, I've got none on order. And if I go ahead and save this reserved order, just going to save, I hit Control R, and that moved me to reserved order. Then I can just hit Control Page Up to bring up my last one. Now if I look at this again after I've saved my reserved order, you'll see it doesn't change the quantity on hand or the quantity on order. The reserved order doesn't do anything until you convert it to a purchase order or purchase invoice. So here, if I hit Control O to go to purchase order, now when I save it, the paperclip holders are going to have 10 on order. Go ahead and save it. Hit Control Page Up. If I look at the paperclip holder now, you see I have on hand 9, on order 10. You see these quantities are here on the main screen. If I go to order data, they're also on the order data. Same field, same data, just we've put it on both screens because it's something you need to see on both of those screens. Just hit F10 to save that, and that's my purchase order. And so I can go ahead and receive it, and it will create, again, I can hit Shift F8, that's the auto receive, receives everything. OK, save, and it's created the purchase invoice. Now, remember, I can also, here I'm on purchase order, I can hit Control I. Now I'm on purchase invoice. So here's Delta Designs. This is just going to go straight into my inventory. It's not creating a purchase order. I'm not getting that ABC thing. It's just creating a purchase invoice directly. So I can put an item on here, and it's just going to add it straight into inventory. If I look at my quantities, order data, I've got 5 on hand. My minimum quantity is 3, so it didn't automatically ordered it. I manually added it to the purchase order. It suggested 5 because that was my order quantity. So when I go ahead and save this purchase invoice, my quantity on hand is going to go from 5 to 10. So I'm just going to go ahead and save this. Again, I can hit Control I to go to invoice, Control Page Up to pull my last one up, hit F3, and now you see I have 10 on hand because the inventory went in. Now I'm going to give you a little bit of a preview. With Purchase Manager, you've got line items, entry, display. These are all like they are in the Sales Manager. How you control the travel of the cursor. Do you want to confirm the quantity, confirm the cost? How do you want to enter items by, typically by product code, not by stock number. If you enter the same item on a purchase order twice, it's very handy to have, the merge same items as warned, saying, hey, you already put this on the purchase order. And if I look at these parameters, entry, display, there's another one, update, and this is what Lynn is going to talk about next week. All these update loss cost, update average cost, update cost of goods sold, rotate vendors. There's a lot of different things you can do there. What you're doing with the discount and shipping. There's the other thing here that's kind of critical. It can do different things. If you have this delete filled orders turned on, then when you complete an order, the order goes away and all you have is the invoice. With it, like I had it here turned off, I can always go look at a list of my old orders. So we've had it turned off So if I do edit, print, order, uh-oh, did something wrong. We're always one version ahead of what we have released here, so I get to go check that out when I'm done here. See if we get it this time. So you see, I've got my orders. They're all completed, but I still see them here. I see 26. I created 3 invoices, 27 one, 28 one. So I'd have a list of all of my orders. If I had that delete filled orders turned on, there would be nothing in here because I would only have a list of what my open orders are. So really what that delete filled orders does is it either gives you a list of all of your orders or a list of only your outstanding orders. And remember, there also is this open order function which allows you, it's just another way of looking up an order, except you can look it up by the items that are on it. Your lighting store, somebody ordered this fancy chandelier. You can come in here and by product code and find the purchase order that it's on by the item. So that's just a different way of looking up an order. And if I switch back into my PowerPoint here, so again, we use the average cost method. Sometimes you can get some screwy numbers with average cost. Lynn's going to talk about that. Yes, it could be negative and accurate. It's kind of a weird idea. But again, you want, correct data is always better than incorrect data. If you have to change average cost quantity, go ahead and do it to make it right. But really using the purchase manager and variance to add inventory is the other side of inventory control, keeping track of what you sell, but also keeping track of what you buy. And are there any questions about the purchase transactions? I don't think I have everybody muted out there.
I believe you've got a lot of mutes there.
Okay. Well, again, next week, Lynn is going to do the math with you on the update parameters. So that's good to see all the different ways that works. But thank you very much for being here this week.